Rengar and Rumble taken off the table.
Yeah, and 7.4 here. It's not really a huge patch, but there were some top lane changes I find interesting. I think Maokai is gonna go down quite a bit, like dropping a full tier down with nerfs to his laning phase. Renekton, though, with Black Cleaver buff, is coming, you know, back into the meta a little bit more. We saw him already beforehand. Now we're probably gonna see him even more. And then Shen in Europe is just like the S tier top for sure. But Camille is still very strong as well. Should still be considered a ban-worthy champion. No surprise so far except for Zillion, but on blue side you can target ban. So that's why I'm saying it's not really that huge of like a surprise. It's more like, hey, it's a pocket pick you guys have, get rid of it.
All right, so the trick question then, Deficio, if you were in Unicorn's shoes, what would you first pick? Now that we're getting closer to this.
Varus, baby.
All right, Varus, Draven taken off the table here by UOL, so some very specific target bans.
Yeah, very specific target bans explaining why they wanted blue side. Now, Varus is the clear-cut #1 AD carry. Jhin got a small nerf on 7.4. Varus was untouched for some reason. No one actually knows why, seeing as he's been the best AD carry for quite a while. So that's going to get locked in instantly. There we go. And then Misfits would normally respond with Jhin. But Ashe is also climbing up the ranks a little bit because of Jin's small nerf. So there are definitely different AD carries to play, but Jhin is still the standard.
And we're seeing the power of that Ashe Karma lane around the world. IEM was looking very good, seeing it in LCK as well.
Yeah, it's actually only Europe who kind of ditched Ashe before because of lethality AD carries, and they were like always being picked and rarely getting actually banned out enough. And in LCK and IEM, again, we saw a lot of Ashe, so I still think it's a strong pick, but we talked about the Jhin. And of course, our best friend in the bot lane.
Yeah, one of the things that you and I were just touching on before picks and bans.
Time Kench from Unicorns, just putting it in there. Keep saying what you say.
Players slow to adapt to the meta patches at times. You know, you can argue the power of that Ashe versus Jhin. All right, you mentioned Tom Kench. What else would Unicorns love lock in as their next rotation? Because they can match that duo.
Well, seeing as Shen is still available, they can go for it early. Yes, it gives Misfits the chance to counter it, but it's really hard to kind of really shut down a Shen when it comes to laning phase. So glad to see I got that one correct. No one remembers the time Kench. It's the art of casting. You only repeat when you're right. Remember I said Varus and Shen? Yeah. You guys remember.
You nailed it. Varus and Shen. You talked about Jhin as well.
Hey.
Only Ashe is the one that
yeah. You guys.
Through the
questions.
Is
that Renekton?
Shocking.
Wow.
Shocking. It's almost like you know this game, Deficio. That's why you are talking now and I am not. Right, what are they going to target ban now for Misfits and Unicorns? Obviously, the world is your oyster in Phase 2.
Yeah, most likely a lot of mid laners going to get removed because it's like they matched everything, top versus top, support versus support, and AD carry versus AD carry. So there's a lot of freedom now in these bans, but you want to look at mid laners more than probably junglers in this case here. Like we've seen Syndra a lot, especially at IEM. She was fantastic when Mabel played her. She gets removed now because she's still a fairly safe blind pick. Misfits are kind of looking for, like, do they have to take the jungler first? I would look at Graves right here. I think he's fantastic. But then, of course, you lock yourself into playing an AP mid laner because otherwise you have too much physical damage. But I still think Graves is such a high-tier jungle pick that he should be considered as a first pick in the second phase here.
So many options. For Xerxe, on the other hand, his jungle pool has been dwindling in recent patches. You know, the power of that Ivern falling by the wayside, some nerfs, and some people learning to play around Xerxe. So I want to keep my eyes on how well he performs in game, because this is a guy that has been struggling for a few weeks from LCS to IM.
I'm just surprised he hasn't shown Graves yet. He played it in Turkey before he joined the Unicorns of Love. I know he can play that champion, but he's kind of just left it down there in the dirt when every other jungler has picked it up as a very, very valuable pick. So if Misfits now wants to save the mid lane pick for last, then Graves is a very good and safe jungle pick that doesn't really have any extreme hard counters. Seems like they just want to get the most valuable mid laner in their mind. Orianna is, of course, a PowerOfEvil special. Has been, ever since he, funny enough, played for the Unicorns of Love back in early Season 5.
Long time ago, Unicorns of Love actually had a very spicy tweet today saying, come see the new sexy German Exileh who replaced the old German Power of Love. And
so no sexy for PowerOfEvil here.
No, unfortunately not.
Exileh.
Unfortunately, that's where Unicorns are ranking the sexy back.
Okay.
4-1 is PowerOfEvil's Orianna this split. Pretty good win ratio, had some good games. He'll be going up against Exileh's Jayce in the mid lane.
Ooh, Unicorns, there's a lot of physical damage coming in here. You can't really get an AP jungler because Rumble is banned. Now, Xerxe is a man who's known for a lot of different jungle picks. Just not always the meta ones, which is where he's different. This is the one we talked about. Come on, do it, man. I want to see your Graves. It was good in Turkey. Thank you very much.
Finally, we get to see a champion that he played a lot in the Turkish league. And it's a great meta champ as well, which is not something I normally say with Xerxe in the jungle.
Well, he made the Iron meta, technically, and then it was great. But again, a lot of physical damage on the side of Unicorns. It will reduce the effectiveness of lethality when the enemy team can very easily get like Ninja Tappy and early armor. So that might be a problem for them. Obviously, Elise could have been an AP choice, but that's another jungler we don't see Xerxe really use. Still, Unicorns of Love have a lot of damage in the mid game.
Does it feel like the Unicorns team comp, with the exception of being primarily AD, is fairly well-rounded? They've got good poke, they've got frontline, they've got disengage.
Comp, yeah.
Misfits, on the other hand, a little bit of a mix and match. They've got pick power, they've got some split push power. What is it Misfits are looking to do?
Well, I think Misfits have very strong lanes and an early game jungler who can gank very effective in Elise. So I think Misfits have a lot of ways to kind of snowball lanes, especially top lane with the Renekton. When you have Renekton in there, you play around that lane. And diving with Elise Renekton, that is something we used to see way back in the day, and it's very, very effective.
No, those cocoons, they really
cocoons,
count.
Yeah, exactly.
I can only hope to get one of those this particular game.
I think you will get one. Just one. You will get one, and I want to hear you say it, but I think this is going to be super explosive because we have the Renekton picking top with Elise, and then we have this mid-game siege comp from Unicorns of Love.
And not only is it Renekton top, it's Alphari's Renekton in the top lane, one of the most hype top laners here in the European LCS.
Against Xerxe.
I know, I can't wait.
I love it.
Renekton into Shen, it is going to be a carry versus tank. We're all set for game one between Misfits and the Unicorns of Love. Who'll come out on top?
In comes Daisy, it's down to 1,500. Is it gonna get stolen away? Xerxe plays the hero.
Welcome back to Misfits versus Unicorns. This is to make it official. Who is the second best team in Europe right now?
Big statement. What about H2K?
I'm going by standings.
Okay.
That's why I said official. Being technically correct is the best kind of correct.
It is. I get it. You are correct in that sense. And honestly, we've had 4 really, really, really competitive teams in Europe in G2, Unicorns, Misfits, and H2K. So I'm just so happy we get to see some of these teams now play each other. Because with the Misfits, while they are now... Oh, let's actually see if EgNar is facing anything. And then we can talk about their win record.
Taunt.
No.
Well, you gotta get past the passive first, and then you've got to land the CC.
All right, he's staying back. He's a smart guy. Oh, they might actually step into him.
Where's the passive? There we go. Chasing forward, and the root misses. Hylissang, that was point blank, buddy.
Yeah, you didn't. Oh, okay. Well, EgNar walked out. That was easy for him to get out. But yeah, Misfits. Last 3 weeks, Trevor, 6-0. They look clean. They look fantastic. We love the Baron setups. We always talk about it. But it was against... Of course, not Origin. I was about to say Origin, but it was against like Vitality. It was against Splice. You know, teams that haven't been performing that well this split. They play against Unicorns today. They play against H2K next week. Those are the 2 big games for them now to really show if they are up there as potentially the second best team in Europe. It all starts right now.
I mean, you take them both down, then there's no more doubts, right?
No, because then you go for G2 and you're going to play them later, of course, towards the end of the regular season, and that's your chance to maybe take number 1.
Yeah, big chances here for Misfits to cement themselves. Unicorns have had a fantastic first half of the split. H2K continue to impress most of the time.
Yeah.
And then just a few mistakes make us facepalm heavily. But let's not talk about them for now because it's about Unicorns of Love, who they have to show more than they did at IM.
100%. Obviously, they played against Flash Wolves, who ended up winning the whole tournament. Lost 2-0. Then played against G2, lost 2-0 again. So it's not like they lost to bad teams. Like, we just have to say that. Like, they lost to the 2 teams who made it all the way to the final. But yeah, we wanted to see a bit more from them. I think, again, Xerxe was a guy we looked at a lot, being like, there's some issues here. Like, his impact on Rengar and KaKAO is not as high as what we see, like, on Ivern. But I'm glad to see that Unicorns have now adopted the IM meta, where Graves was just picked again and again and again by KaKAO. Yeah. And KaKAO, like, destroyed Xerxe in this matchup. And now Xerxe's like, yeah, it's time for me to also pick up probably the strongest / second strongest jungler in the current meta.
We'll see what he can do with it. KaKAO moving up, actually walking over a Unicorns of Love ward, so gonna get spots out, a little bit of information. Looking through the rest of the lanes, and Alphari pushing into Vizicsacsi Shen, that's no surprise. That's something Alphari's going to be able to do a lot of. And obviously, if KaKAO is shadowing him, hanging around, there's some potential for outplay here.
I mean, we will at some point in this game see KaKAO go to top lane and try and dive against Xerxe. Like, when you play against globals, you want to attack them. You don't want to just suddenly make a play on the bottom side and then they actually use that global and get a numbers advantage. So KaKAO should try and keep Vizicsacsi down, get that top lane tower, which funny enough here in Europe, when it comes to like first tower that dies, it's top lane and bot lane tower that dies the most, but it's blue side who takes the towers. It's not red side. Only in 8% of the games has the blue side tier 1 top tower actually died first.
Why is that, Deficio? What do you attribute?
I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to how easy it is to set up a dive on blue side against red side, especially top lane. Hylissang taking a lot of damage.
So much damage from Unicorns of Love. Does not use any of his summoner spells, has a couple of cookies to eat if he wants to, though.
See, first time when Hylissang missed was a warning shot.
Okay.
Now he knows how IgNar is juking, even though it wasn't IgNar, it was Hylissang, but that's mind games. He's like, yeah, I see you, I see you. I know you guys are doing the same, and then boom, he hits him.
We're off to a good start today, aren't we, Deficio?
It's been a great first 4 minutes.
Gotta shake off the
game.
rust, you know? 1 week without casting.
You actually feel like you kind of forget how to cast after a week.
It is quite tough. Like, look at this. Hylissang taking a lot of damage. Malzahar still relevant, it seems. But I want to circle back to that discussion we had a minute or two around Xerxe and this Graves, because Xerxe on Ivern, it is his most played champion. 6 games. This split has got phenomenal statistics. He has a KDA that's like over 30. He's got a great goal difference at 15.
30.1. Over 30.
It still counts.
You're selling it well.
Kills plus assists at 15 minutes on Ivern is 4.5. Now, when you look at this graphic, guys, the numbers in the brackets below is what Xerxe's stats are on every other champion.
Well, top lane.
All right, Chachi's going to die.
Hey.
Easy combo.
You have a Renekton lane. You go to the Renekton lane and you kill people.
I was mid-story, KaKAO. That's really rude.
Anyway, as you were saying, Ivern on Xerxe, fantastic. We normally don't like talking about KDA because it's not the coolest stat in the world. But when a guy has 30 as his KDA in 6 games in Europe, then it's absolutely insane. His average KDA being 4.5 on every other pick then really shows the difference for him. And we want to see what he can do, see what else can happen right now. Someone just died. Because I was mid-story and their servers respect me, they didn't want to show it.
We'll jump back onto this game. Hylissang and IgNar straight up dunking Samux. Not even a summoner spell blown. Oh, so that's spicy indeed.
Look at this also, Storm Raiders on Samux. That is not something I see on Varus, like, ever. Deathfire touch is normally superior with the extra damage coming when you do land the poke. So I'm not sure if that was a mistake or if it is just something he is testing out. And maybe someone else has tried it around the world and I've just missed it. But definitely not something I see very often. I'm not saying that's why he died, but let's just say that's the reason for now.
Well, we'll blame the Keystone.
Yeah.
All right, here's a replay of...
This is the top lane.
The top lane gank. I mean, this is just Chachi being caught out. Double flash.
Really isn't a whole lot there, but we talked about the pressure on top side. Good call from KaKAO. He's sitting mid lane now on a control ward, trying to bait Exileh to maybe all in PowerOfEvil.
Shockwave flashed away from. Just in a solo play. Xerxe was making his way up. The Misfits have already got themselves a 1,000 gold lead, 2 kills. They've got strong lanes, and a strong advantage.
Yeah, and this is kind of the same we saw during IEM, where Unicorns actually fell behind early in almost every game. Like, on average, they were over 1,000 gold down in 15 minutes. They only got 1 first tower in the 5 games they played. And a lot of it started from, like, you know, falling behind in the lanes.
Yeah.
This is definitely a good start from Misfits. And Unicorns is a team that has very, very good team fighting. So they can always get back. He's hiding.
They can, especially with a lot of the tools in their team comp. But they've given their opponents an advantage with a primary, you know, single damage team composition. So if Misfits get an accelerated mid game, get some early armor before Unicorns can punish, that's when things become problematic.
Yeah, you're going to see Ninja Tappy on a lot of members. You can even see Hylissang is building towards it. We saw that earlier today as well in the LCK. If you are against a lot of physical damage, just get it. Because Ninja Tappy is one of the most effective items in the game. And it's kind of stayed that way for quite a while. And the reason again it gets extra value is because lethality is obviously that armor penetration. So this is the dive we talked about.
Dived. Gonna have Spurt's Refuge for a few seconds. The Cocoon into the Fangs. And KaKAO resets the aggro. They make it look so easy.
And now, the answer from Unicorns of Love should always be to make a play on the bottom side.
But they're now going mid instead. It's Exileh that's jumped on. Exhaust is going to lock him down. And PowerOfEvil gets another.
So this is actually a really good move now. Technically by both teams making the correct move. Like, you see Unicorns respond by going bot lane when two members are showing top side. But then Misfits bottom lane is like, yeah, we're not going to be able to defend because we're 2v3. So they leave the bottom lane, roam mid, and then catch out Exileh for another kill. So really good move here from Misfits. First to dive top lane, and then look at your minimap. The bot lane, IgNar and Hansama, they've already left because they know they can't defend against the Graves, and they end up getting 2 kills now mid.
While we're in a replay, Hylissang dies as well. Full summoner spells available. Misfits are going to take another tower. It's 10 minutes in. Deficio. Misfits plus, what's that, 2.5, nearly 3,000 gold. This looks like a one-horse race.
I mean, for now, yes. Unicorns of Love, sadly, not able to really dance with Misfits here in the early game. And I just want to, again, give so much credit to Misfits bottom lane here for that move. So many bot lanes just stay under that tower and try and defend it. They get dove, they die. Or they don't, you know, manage to do anything and just end up going back to base. They left that tower, walked mid lane to put pressure, so that 2 lanes pushing in, knowing they couldn't defend, and rewarded them 2 kills. Exileh obviously didn't expect them to show up. He probably thought they went back to base.
They did not, and Unicorns get punished for it. Down 5 kills, down 2 towers. There's some pressure from Unicorns in the mid lane. And are they going to do the Death Bush? Chill out.
I mean, this is a Unicorn special. Control ward in the mid lane side brush, and then you wait. And you sit and you start fishing. At some point, something will bite. Sucky pot if it's a Rift Scuttler, not what you want. Great if it's a champion though. Sadly, Misfits.
Not going to fall for it this time. No need to.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, Misfits, they're one of these teams that have visible improvements week to week to week. And individually, they've got good players, and they're showing good macro.
Yes.
They are quickly proving to be a very real threat for these more established teams like H2K, like UOL. And, I mean, you can see it here with just fantastic starts.
Again, no bias intended, but they've become one of the funniest teams to cast because they have these players that can make big plays, so you get to scream and go like, whoa, that was insane. And also, they make these really good, like, rotations.
Yeah.
They understand how to, you know, sit up Baron. They understand how to move from different lanes with pressure points. So there's something for the caller caster as well. Like Misfits right now, they offer something for everyone. If you like kills, yeah, watch the game. Except for that Vitality game where they didn't get a kill for like 29 minutes, but
can we say, no, I won't say it's Vitality's fault. So Misfits though, because they play safe where they need to, they don't have to take risks at times. Alphari, 113 CS on the Giant Crocodile. Got himself the Phage and the Tiamat, likely to pick up the Herald buff as well, and yes, there we go.
Oh,
it's secured.
Huge.
I mean, nobody can deal with the Crocodile just yet.
No, no one will touch Alphari in a side lane. But that's obviously not why you pick Shen. So the problem here for Unicorns is they were supposed to make plays on the bottom side using the Shen ulti, while Misfits were supposed to make plays on top side using Elise and Renekton. It's only been Misfits who were able to, you know, make any plays. Xerxe,
He got the Grom.
he got it.
Sending a message.
Small victory.
Sending a message.
It is important.
That is 86 gold, closer to closing this 2,000 gold gap.
Yeah, very, very positive. Very positive. I like it.
Yeah,
very optimistic.
Got a few of the Love Hurts crew in the audience nodding at me. Thumbs up for that one. You know? 86 gold towards closing it, and Unicorns want more. But looking at the side lane, Samux could get caught out. Where's the CC? Locked down by KaKAO. IgNar follows up. Exileh throws the hammer down into IgNar. Unicorns are split up. Hilly and Xerxe running from the Crocodile. IgNar's taken down. That's the first for Unicorns of Love. Xerxe is burned through with the help of a shockwave. It's a 2-for-1 in favor of Misfits.
But in the end here, Unicorns, they lose 2 members. They got some damage on this tower. What else can Misfits get? They have a full minion wave. Walking out for another turret. 4 members around it.
There's no one from UOL to defend.
They're running, but they don't have home guards or anything this early in the game. They're not going to make it in time, and suddenly, Misfits respond so well. Pushing that mid tower? Nah. Let's fight. And there was double flank. We had TP from Renekton. We had Malzahar from the other side. Great setup.
Yeah, really great setup indeed. There's a fight in the jungle, guys. There's a fight in the jungle, guys. KaKAO taken down. Unicorns get one. They turn their attention to Hylissang. He's able to flash away with his life. Jumping to the top lane, though. Hold that thought. Exile's going to get run down.
I didn't say anything.
There we go. Exile's in trouble. Slice goes out. Malefic Visions. Call of the Void. And eaten alive by the crabs.
Yeah, sadly for him, we learned in the jungle that a shotgun does in fact beat a spider. This is the engaged mid lane though. Like, look at this. There's good flank from both IgNar, KaKAO, ulti from Malzahar to try and create some sort of utility to just lock down 1 or 2 targets, and then TP from Alphari. There's just nowhere to go from Unicorns of Love, or 4 Unicorns of Love, and great response. And this is what happens often when you have the map control, when you've been the proactive team, is that whenever the other team gets to make an aggressive play, like here pushing on the turret, you have the wards in place, you have summoners, you have everything you need to just force a fight.
Yeah.
And like you saw that there were wards behind Unicorns of Love, there was even a Malzahar behind them, and they just said like, we need to get something here. Try and push in this mid tower, but you've already lost the map, and then boom, you get punished.
Punished so hard. Misfits in absolute control. I want to shine a little bit of light on Unicorns of Love, though, because they fell behind early game at IEM a bunch. They had some great team fights despite being down in gold, but it just didn't feel like Unicorns were in their groove at IEM. Now, they also didn't feel like they were in their groove the week before in LCS as well, you know? Starting to slow down the tempo, starting to slow down the ability to win out games. Do you think that's a little overly critical to Deficio?
I mean, we're not going to sit here and call them bad.
No.
They're still a good team.
Yes.
So it is, I think what it is for Unicorns is they started the season having players that performed at a very, very high level. Where a lot of our teams had players that were still kind of catching up, getting rid of all the off-season jitters and everything. And Unicorns just started at a very high level, which is full credit to them, like as a team and Sheepy as a coach. So they used that the first few weeks to pick up a lot of these really strong wins in the Iron pick. We see now Siege mid lane. IgNar is hiding behind. Alphari doesn't have TP this time, so he has to run down, and he's just not able to get there in time.
Can the collapse still happen, though? IgNar can at least block some damage in CC. Alphari's coming from the flanks on the left-hand side. Dash over. Xerxe gonna get locked down. He's only able to flash over the wall. Alphari's rooted in place, but the 4th shot. Hunt Summer finds the kill. Hylissang sidestepping, and he uses the boss code to safety. But Unicorns, they get a tower, they lose Xerxe's life.
It's actually insane how little vision Unicorns have on the map. IgNar could just move around in their jungle unnoticed for multiple seconds until Xerxe dashed into the Raptor cam and realized, oh my god, there's a Malzahar here, and then he dies. There are 5 wards on the map that I can see right now from the blue team. 0 control wards at the moment on the map from Unicorns. Now, they might have just been cleared out, but even before the fight started, I didn't really see anything. So it's really hard for Unicorns to kind of know what's actually happening.
That's the Unicorns' vision you can see right now.
It's literally just river towards the right side of the map, and that's all they see. And then suddenly, you get collapsed on, you get flanked, you get surprised, because the enemy is hiding behind you.
Yeah, enemy's hiding behind and ready to fire. Misfits are on fire this game.
But back to the point, you know, with Unicorns, like early on peaking very quickly, with the players performing well. The really tough thing is that when you start that well, improving gets slower and slower. You know, you start adding small percentages to your play. It's not as easy, not as quickly to do. I think other teams had an easy time catching up.
Yeah.
And then they get like to the Unicorns level, and now maybe slightly above on some of them. Like Misfits in this game for sure. And also I think just the patches have not been in favor of Unicorns, with some of the nerfs to scaling junglers.
I think that's really important to note, that meta champions, maybe for Xerxe more than anybody else,
yes, 100%.
really starting to hurt him. And Unicorns, of course, they've also had a tough schedule. They played against G2, they're playing against Misfits, they're playing against H2K. These are the toughest tests. Infernal Drake is being started. Shock Blast comes in. It's stolen. It's stolen. Unicorns get it. But Hylissang gets weeded away in the river. But objective secured and a tower.
Yeah, it's so huge, honestly, for Unicorns of Love. Getting Infernal Drake and top lane tower, only losing Hylissang. There's a minion wave bot lane for Misfits to grab, but they don't have enough members to actually push the tower. Also wave there from Samux. So Misfits have to realize this Infernal Drake It's not on their side. There we go.
Yeah.
Swapped it around.
So Cloud for Misfits, Infernal for UOL. Important to note the itemization, which I'll talk about in a second. Exileh going ham. He's jumping on Hunsummer, trying to get the kill. The Cocoon save Hunsummer's life. Stand United delivers Vizicsacsi. He flashes forward, but doesn't find a taunt. Exileh's left for dead, and KaKAO will run him down with the Spiderlings and the poison. Hunsummer roots down Vizicsacsi and Unicorns of Lav. They thought they found a kill. They might be donating too. Chachi taunts away, continues to run. 250 HP, turns backwards and is killed by Misfits.
And this is where we see a huge difference from week 1 Unicorns to now. Let's just see this replay first. They steal the dragon, then obviously Hylissang dies. And that's basically the replay. So he died, they stole the dragon. Anyway, the play that we saw mid lane there from Exileh, I felt like more of those went in favor of Unicorns in the first few weeks. Like, he would get that 1 kill, Chachi would come in, maybe even get a 2nd kill. And these small, scrappy skirmishes they like to force would go in their favor. But now we see more and more teams, the good teams, like again, G2, Flash Rolls, Misfits right now, kind of match it and even beat it. So they don't really fall prey for some of these early fights. Unicorns of Love, though, can still team fight. We said that earlier.
Yes.
Yes, they're 6k gold down, so it's really, really difficult for them to actually win these fights. But that is where they have clawed their way back in games in the past in the EU LCS. Also harder though because they have so much physical damage as we talked about, and you see some of this armor on the side of Misfits that's just gonna negate a lot of what lethality does, because it is obviously pure like flat armor pen.
Yeah, it really will be tough for Unicorns. Luckily, they can wave clear relatively well. We're just about to hit 20 minutes, Deficio. And that means Misfits are gonna start doing what they're exceptionally good at, and that is playing around Baron, setting it up, baiting it. Hold that thought for a second. There we go. Take a look at the graphics on your screen. Oh, I timed that one terribly. Flash away as Samux gets to safety. You can see the numbers on your screen, guys. During weeks 1 to 4, Misfit was dealing damage to Baron. Their opponents dealt a little bit. In week 5, their opponents didn't even touch Baron. That's how good and clean and controlled they were around that objective.
Yeah, basically just means that they gave 0 chances for like any sort of Baron steals. Because they didn't have like a jungler hovering around who jumped in just before it died, got a hit down or anything. No. They actually didn't allow any potential steals. They literally jumped out of the Baron pit, they kill the enemy jungler instantly, they turn around, kill the enemy team as well if they need to, and then they go back and grab it, and this is good engage.
Well, Hylissang's dead. Threw a couple of shots his way. Cocoon going down.
And it's the same problem again. If we turn on Unicorns or Love vision just for like 5 seconds, they can barely see anything on the map. They have a ward in the bot lane that's useless, 1 ward in the mid lane, and that is it. So how on earth are you going to play the game when you can't even see the enemy?
You can't. You don't even know what's going on. It's like a bad horror movie. IgNar's going to try zone away. Baron is already going low. It's on 3,000 hit points. What do Misfits do? They're committing to the objective. Chain of corruption is slowly starting to spread. Here comes Chachi. This gets messy. Misfits get Baron. Hunsummer's trying to get away. He cannot, but they get Exileh in trade. 1 for 1 so far. Xerxe decides not to engage, and Vizicsacsi finds himself in a team. IgNar flashes away from the auto, sniped by Samux. PowerOfEvil with red buff on, may be able to chase Xerxe down, gets those autos rooted in place. Stranglethorns buys some time. The burn kills him. Hylissang gets away from the Cocoon, and Misfits, it's a little messy, but they get the objective.
They get it because Unicorns didn't know when to move in and stop them, as they couldn't even see the Baron, so they reacted. Obviously, you can say too late, but when you don't have vision, you don't really know what's going on. IgNar here zoning Xerxe, so again, no jungler nearby to steal the Baron. That means KaKAO can take it, and it is a tough fight to fight if you are Misfits right now in the Baron pit. They still win it. Massive goal lead, obviously, and they had enough time to take down that objective before all of Unicorns could just collapse on them. Samux actually on full HP, getting the 1 kill in the end, but not really able to properly join the fight.
Starting to see those EU Varus plays standing on the fringes to shoot TQs over.
Better than the EU Israel Iceborne Gauntlet plays we've seen a few times, where auto-attacking is illegal. And technically, if you're playing against Ninja Tabi, auto-attacking, you know, it is less effective.
It is. So just use, there we go.
There we go. That is like smarter than everyone else.
Smarter than everyone else. That's how Samux got his first kill of the game. It's 4 kills to 16. It's nearly 10,000 gold difference. Misfits, 2 minutes left on Baron, and they're already starting to siege up.
Yeah, and let's compare mid laners right now. One guy has completed 3 full items and very, very effective boots against the enemy comp. The other guy has a Ghost Blade, slightly nerfed on his patch as well, just to add that. And then he's getting towards like 2 other items, but he's not even close. He's not even near a fully second completed item. The difference is so huge between the Orianna and the Jayce.
Yep.
This man is happy because once again his team is showing some really good macro moves.
Yeah, good play from the laning phase.
See, he's nodding as well. He's like, yeah, I agree with the casters.
Daku, of course, with the headset on, can listen to his team's communication.
And the cast. No,
no, he can't. But yeah, he's listening to the comms for his team, talking about the tower. It's been a trade. Misfits have got the bottom inner turret, and it looks like Chachi's going to get a lot of damage on the top tower, but he won't be taking it down. And that itemization. Also, by the way, patch 7.4, this is the hot fix version of Edge of Night. So 45-second cooldown. The tooltip will not say that in-game.
Exactly. Do not get fooled in-game when you buy it.
Yep.
45 seconds now on the cooldown.
Just to give a little bit more of a window of opportunity, right? Because it was incredibly effective. Can I say that?
Oh yeah, it's obviously insanely strong. Don't think the nerf is enough, especially because I think the biggest problem with the item is the fact that it's 10 seconds you have the shield for. So yes, it's 45-second cooldown now, but if you just time that correctly, it's for 10 seconds. That spell shield is there, and that is really the strongest part of the item. Obviously also the fact the stats are good on it, like lethality, attack damage.
A little bit of MR as well.
A little bit of MR, why not?
Not that it matters this game at all, really.
So if another nerf should happen to it, then you know, maybe reduce it from 10 seconds, the duration of the shield, to maybe, let's say, 8 or 6 seconds or something like that.
Find out in the next episode of League of Legends Patch Notes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now, teleport coming down from Chachi. So this is going to be to thwart any Misfits power. The Baron has worn off. And, you know, we have praised Misfits a lot this game. And it's because they've snowballed their lead. They've played effective, they've played clean, and good League of Legends.
Hey, I think we've also been very fair to the Unicorns of Love. We talked about some of the issues they've had and they've shown in this game. Like, we can't really hide it. They're down 10,000 gold.
Yeah.
So 25 minutes into the game, that is what we normally call a stomp. Misfits just showing again fantastic play, and Unicorns, it seems like they need to kind of refine their style here. They got to figure out what is the Unicorns' identity, because what it was in the first few weeks have not been as effective the last 2 weeks. Like, they haven't been able to just get clean into the mid game and then like play these super cool team fighting comps like Katarina, Ivern, and like really be successful on them. They've tried, but it hasn't really been that effective. And I want to see how Sheepy and Unicorns react. Game 2 is where we can see the changes. This game is not over yet, but it's looking very bad for them.
Yeah, I mean, Misfits would need to make mistakes for Unicorns to come in. And of course, Unicorns have got a lot of tools in their kit, a lot of armor and wave clear.
And that's the thing, you know, if people were watching like G2 versus Rox Tigers were 10k gold ahead, and then Mickey decided he didn't want to win. He didn't want to get to the final, and he literally just got caught like 5 times. That does happen. Like in Europe, we see these kind of issues, but not so often from the top teams. And that's where, you know, it's looking very good for Misfits.
All right, so 2 minutes to Baron. Well, a little bit short on that taunt there, Chachi. Do you feel like the next objective will be Baron, then look to break it in here for Misfits? Is that the right play?
Yeah.
Baited, play around vision. Don't risk making a mistake fighting without
a
the
reason.
favors being stacked
Sure.
right, in your way.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, don't start over chasing down mid or anything and then suddenly get caught on the turret. But yes, if you're playing against Unicorns comp, there's a lot of wave clear. You know, Graves is the jungler with the best wave clear. Varus is lady carry with currently the best wave clear as well. Zyra even adds value there. So it's very hard without Baron to kind of break into the base.
Yeah.
So yeah, play around Baron. The weakness, or the biggest weakness for Unicorns this game has been the vision. So if you're Misfits, you should feel very confident that you can get that vision control again around Baron. Let's see if we look at the map for a 3rd time with the Unicorns of Love, what can they actually see if you turn on just their vision only? Because it seems to be the same situation where Misfits have full control. You can see in your minimap now, guys, this is what Unicorns can see. They can see mid lane because there's a minion wave, and top lane because of the minion wave, and that is it. Oh, actually, they see Elise on red buff as well.
Yeah, one little ward.
A blue trinket up there is spotting KaKAO. That is it. So right now, they don't really know what's happening in the river. They know Baron is not alive yet. In 30 seconds, they still won't really know what's happening in the river, because if they walk in now to get vision, they face check a Malzahar and die. Because it's all about pressure for Misfits now, hiding in the shadows. And if Unicorns ever want to put in a ward, someone will die from the Unicorns of Love. And that's why they have to sit back, push out mid first, and then take that open fight. Or they have to try and like blue trinket into like some crazy Baron steal engage and see if they can win that way.
All right, crazy Baron steal. If that's your only win condition, you know you've got problems. Unicorns of Love.
Oh, also crazy Baron fight could also be it. Yeah.
Touche, touche. Craziness.
Just something crazy.
Something crazy. That's what they got to do. They're going to channel that chaos.
So, Baron is alive.
By the way, Misfits had around 7 control wards in their inventory.
Oh, look at IgNar hiding in that brush.
Vision, control, and superiority. Instant peel away by the Misfits the moment UOL move into the river. Vizicsacsi continues to put pressure on the bottom lane, and Stand United's available to him.
They're starting. Ulti here from Hansama to see if they can slow a target down.
2, 3, 4 shots find their targets, but not on the same one. Alphari's gone all the way in with the exhaust. Alphari's down. That's too deep. Unicorns have got some magic on their side. 5 versus 4, and Misfits are peeling away.
Yeah, we said we wanted something crazy here. It was Alphari who went crazy. Dove in way too deep here, ends up dying. Basically, Misfits, correct idea. Start the Baron, disengage when Unicorns show up, but they disengaged too early. They could have waited for IgNar to pick a target and then dive out and actually get some kills. They had 5 flashes before this to use as well. And then they end up over-chasing, and Alphari dives in without his team. So some miscommunication, this backfires, and suddenly Unicorns get a bit of gold.
Yeah, get another tower to their name. That's the 4th of the game for Unicorns. 5 kills to Misfits 16, and all of a sudden, IgNar's on the wrong side of the river.
Yeah, but yeah, Unicorns want to clear out the control wards. There is 5 seconds on Alphari, and he has teleport. So this might be super, super risky from the Unicorns. IgNar again hiding behind them. They don't know he's there.
Unicorns are split. Unicorns are split. Teleport's coming in. Where's Alphari? Xerxe's locked down. He's rooted. He's killed shortly after. The Nethergrass bends, and Vizicsacsi runs for his life. Somehow, Hilly died as well. Was that just... I don't think that was a shockwave. Wow.
He just got bursted down. IgNar on Malzahar has been getting so much freedom when it comes to finding these flanks. The vision is not there to spot him, and his own movement is obviously very, very good. Full credit to him on this Malzahar pick. He's gotten the maximum value out of this. And he started so many fights. But they always pick off one guy first. Look at this guy hiding behind, like a ninja. And I guess Hylissang, yeah, he just dropped.
I'm so busy focusing on Xerxe, I didn't even see Hilly getting chopped down in the back. And Misfits punish Unicorns for trying to clear the wards, right? Unicorns were trying to do the right thing, but it was a risky thing because of the timing.
Yeah, here's the thing, like, you opted into taking the mid tower. That delayed you long enough when it came to taking the Baron vision that Alphari respawned. And then obviously Misfits are ready to fight 5v5. And IgNar again managed to snuck in. But I think just like it's really interesting with Unicorns how what they're valued in this game is mid lane control and then just like the side bushes near the mid lane. So they just saw a bit of the river. They've not really valued like their own jungle control or wards until this point. That's why IgNar's been able to sneak in behind them so many times, both on top side and on bottom side. And that goes kind of against what we normally see from teams. Like when you're behind, you start warding defensively. So you can see them in your jungle, like, ooh, are they sneaking to another lane? Are they trying to engage a fight? But Unicorns have just been warding like mid and just around mid lane, almost entire game.
Well, Alphari finds himself in a 1-on-2, correction, a 1-on-4. Taunted up, but how much time has he bought for the rest of the squad? PowerOfEvil, KaKAO, Hansama. They're now hammering away and broken open the base. Spider form, skittering attack. KaKAO's able to take down a tower, and Misfits backing out. I'm looking at the minimap. Not a lot of vision here for Unicorns once again, as you described, Deficio. 1 lowly control ward. Did not even see Misfits running, escaping from the jungle.
Oh, and obviously we are kind of looking at the same thing over and over because it is a huge part of the game, but at this point now, if you are Unicorns, it is hard to get any vision down because you are so far behind.
Yeah.
So the problem kind of started much earlier. It's still there because now it just gets harder and harder to fix it. And that really is the issue for Unicorns in this game. And I'm sure Sheepy is sitting and watching this backstage, also noting down, especially like how hard it is for his team to actually make plays and avoid getting caught out because people are hiding behind them in the bushes, like IgNar and this Malzahar, and then suddenly that's 1 kill for Misfits.
Well, Misfits are you know, obviously significantly ahead, but I'm looking at their items, and there's a fair amount of armor, but there's not an overwhelming amount of armor on the side. So Unicorns have enough damage still at 33 minutes to burn them down once this Baron wears off and whatnot.
I mean, seeing as it's only Renekton who's a bruiser on this lineup, then yes, you will always have enough damage with like 3 carries, Graves, Jayce, and Varus, to burst down a squishy target. Like Elise is not building full tank or anything, so there's definitely openings for Unicorns if they catch out one guy from Misfits. But the Ninja type just makes it slightly harder.
Yeah.
And everything just gets slightly harder, and it gets harder and harder and harder the further we get into this game and the further behind they fall. They're getting Last Whispers now, which will be very key for them. Obviously now they also was buffed a bit on this patch. Well, some say buff, some say nerf. Like more armor penetration or bonus armor penetration up to 45% now, was 30 before, but lost some attack damage. So better against tanks, worse against squishes.
There's a fair amount of armor, at least in some of the champions on Misfits, but there you go, Alphari not taking a lot from that piercing arrow. I want to see what it does to a KaKAO. Also 10, 15% of his hit points.
Yeah, I mean, you look at a guy like PowerOfEvil, he's sitting on 190 armor at this point here. So flat armor pen is useless against him. It literally just reduces his reduction by a few percentages. It's all about Last Whispers then.
It really is. Hylissang takes 2 shots on the curtain call. 3rd goes wide, and the 4th will likely be body blocked here. Finally holding the trigger for a few seconds longer. Flash away from Exileh. The inhibitor's going to go down. Misfits use a curtain call. Curtain call.
Curtain call.
They use Jhin's ultimate fantastically to zone away the Unicorns of Love.
You sounded like me 3 years ago. I like it.
Kind of went a bit Boston for a second there. Curtain call. Well, Misfits,
Sean Connery.
Look at that, clean. They take the inhibitor, they get super minions. There was no inherent risk for the Misfits squad.
No, that is very true. Now, the one thing we want to judge when it comes to Misfits, it's no longer the early game, it's no longer the mid game, it's no longer Barons. It is how fast do they finish their games. It's not necessarily a bad thing to have longer games, specifically. But when you have a 10,000 gold advantage, yeah, KaKAO,
no one saw that. No one saw that.
We all saw it. The entire crowd saw it. They were like, oh, God, this guy. Anyway, so 10k gold lead at 20 minutes. That normally means the game ends pretty quickly. Obviously, they're against quite a lot of wave clear. But this is where Misfits have really slowed down in the late game normally. And they kind of wait for Barons every time before they make any plays. And then when they get Baron, you see some teams in the world, like, you know, SKT, obviously, example of like the best team right now. They can take like Baron and then boom, like 6 towers, game over, bam, that's it, you know, it goes super quick. Misfits is like get Baron, 2 towers and 1 inhib, and then we go back, we wait for another Baron, then we take another Baron, then get another inhib. And it can be a little bit too slow.
Maybe a little bit. IgNar's gonna have support soon. Does he decide to use the Nether Grasp? The answer is yes. Shockwave's available, Cocoon as well. Shockwave pulls back Xerxe, he flashes away. Here comes Alphari, slice and dice and culls the Meek, but doesn't find anyone to lock down. Xerxe's locked. The Brambleback helping out here on the side of Misfits. Misfits get themselves a kill, the tankiest member. With 1 minute to Baron, with supers in the bottom lane, slowly making their way.
Yeah, 1 kill here on Xerxe, 35 seconds. Can they use the minion wave to get the turret? KaKAO's 50% HP, IgNar as well. So they might have to respect that a 1 shock blast and a Varus Q will actually kill both these guys.
A lot of damage, and to go back to that, you know, Misfits, how quickly do they finish? It's actually a discussion that triggers a lot of people at times. Sure. Because it's a weird debate, isn't it? Hey, they're not winning quickly enough, but they're still winning, right? We'll expand that in a second. Looking at the minimap, Xerxe just doesn't have enough damage to kill IgNar before all the support comes in.
IgNar is trying to do the same, like get deep vision, maybe see if we can create a pick in there with the team. And then it's the value of having like Malzahar, even against tanks. You can just like single out one guy, get % damage onto him. Sadly for Alphari, didn't get the kill. Oh, this is actually perfect timing. Elder Drake, and then by the time you kill it, Baron spawns. That means Baron spawns late enough, the other team couldn't start it and trade. So you get the Elder Drake, and you have time to go and actually stop Baron from the enemy team and get both. That is macro. Yeah. Of course, probably not intended, but if it was.
Whether it's intended or not, it's fantastic for Misfits.
It wasn't.
Unicorns are able to get some vision in the river, and I use that term extremely loosely. Teleport being channeled here by Vizicsacsi as Misfits.
Why are you TPing there?
Already cleared out the vision, anticipating a Baron rush, but maybe that's not the strongest. The flash forward, Hylissangs get rooted, and Alphari's now on the front line. He'll at least get the Stranglethorns off before he's killed. Exileh splits away from the rest of the team. He's taken down by the Quirton as Vizicsacsi gets chunked down by the crits. Misfits looking to run him down. He's rooted by a flourish. Alphari slices and dices and dances on the corpses of the Unicorns of Love. It's a 3-for-1 to Misfits.
And we've seen this so many times this game. Misfits sits in the Baron area. They catch one guy from Unicorns, they snowball into more kills, and now Trevor sticking to the average game time, about 38 minutes, they're going for the Nexus.
They are indeed. The Shockwave helps out Alphari and Hansama ace the Unicorns of Love. Misfits take down the Nexus turrets, and they defeat Unicorns 1-0.
And it's crazy to think that Misfits at 20 minutes for 10k gold ahead. It actually never felt like Unicorns were even close to beating Misfits. Like, it started with KaKAO ganking top lane, then Samux dies 2v2 bot lane. That's a 1k gold advantage in favor of Misfits. They get 2 towers. Boom, 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 snowball, snowball, snowball. They create some good picks around the mid lane when Unicorns try and do something proactive on this mid tower. And just, again, to repeat it, like, the biggest story for me this game was just how Unicorns couldn't see anything on the map for 90% of this game. And then how are you going to play aggressive? Because so many people can just move in behind you, like Elise, Malzahar, Renekton, and they can just start fights and catch you.
Malzahar shouldn't be allowed to move in behind you, but
he was spending more time behind Unicorns than in front of them.
The flanking Malzahar is the deadliest. That helped IgNar and Misfits pick up the game 1 victory. Let's send it over to the analyst desk and find out, is the honeymoon period over?
Is the honeymoon over for the Unicorns of Love? I don't know, but it damn well started raining a bit in there, and the Misfits are all to blame for that. We talked about the clash of style, slow, low kill versus hard and fast and a lot of kills, and the Misfits came out with a new strategy. They said, we'll pick early game, we'll play early game.
Yeah, they put some more focus on that, and I mean, that's what Elise means, right? Deficio talked about it a lot during the cast. Elise, Renekton, you go in top lane, you're going to start
Season 3 all over, you know, where people were still playing Ignite, and a successful dive would mean that the game would be over. Like, the top lane experience was done, like, have fun playing, becoming a second jungler or something. And they managed to do this in this game as well, and it was nice to see Misfits add an early game flavor, and then refine it still with, like, some people call it slow, but it's just really methodical Baron execution.
And I think that the whole focus of this next couple of minutes is going to be about how Misfits very well utilized the leads that they got. First of all, how they got them, looking at some of the first bloods. And when we look at that replay, you can see up in the top lane, this is kind of a process that's drawn out for quite a while. You could see this coming even from Elise being so far on the map.
Yeah, Vizicsacsi, he knows at one point Elise could be there. I think this is still a mistake, especially pathing into river to ward when you don't know if to avoid exactly that. But again, no hesitation, double flash here. The gap close are still there on Alphari. Great communication. I think that's what we want to highlight the most, is that this team from Misfit works as a unit, because every time they come under pressure somewhere here as well, you know, IgNar opens up. The one thing we want to highlight is don't channel your piercing arrow when you have void links on you and you have flash. Like, this can't happen on the side of Unicorns.
And this says it all as well, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chachi, you could see the later the game went, some of his players in the game kind of teeping into fights and getting caught out a lot. Unicorns obviously demoralized after game 1, but there was so much patient play out of the Misfits in this game that we're very impressed by how they controlled the rest of it.
And there's another replay that really shows how they're moving every piece on the chessboard as the Misfits, whereas in some teams they're still looking to kind of get ahead themselves. Just start by tracking PowerOfEvil here, get some river vision, important, works with KaKAO to steal a buff. He doesn't go for the top dive because Chachi is respecting it right now, so he just safely goes back to mid to push out. Eventually, KaKAO and Alphari find Vizicsacsi again. That prompted a kind of a cross-map play in the bottom lane from the Unicorns on Misfits, but Hansama and IgNar, they smelled it, and then they kind of walked around and then they dealt it. You know, they went to mid, they got a kill, they killed Hylissang again. This is a double turret trade, 2 kill trades for none here. Super methodical playing, and they're just dancing around the Unicorns.
And the Unicorns at times were playing into it. I mean, Xerxe at first was doing the right thing by pushing up, but then ends up getting put out as you were talking about. And one of the difficulties, and Deficio talked about this so much in the cast, was Unicorns not having vision. And a lot of people will say, oh, well, Misfits must place a lot of wards. Misfits on average only rank 7th for control wards and wards placed per minute. Like, that's actually fairly low when you look at a team that is that dominant. But what they do so well is kill wards to reduce vision. They are rank 1 by far, and this is where Unicorns just can't see anything when it comes to these engages.
Yeah, and this happened multiple times during the game where they would just rob you of any vision, and you never know. Like, are they doing it right now? A lot of the strength of this comes from Alphari and his map movements, where they'll have him pressure a lane, then group with the team to kind of build a buffer and really do good vision. And H2K actually tried this style very often, especially at IEM, where they would not elect to go for side lane with overwhelm them, but they would bunch him with the team. But they didn't have the perfect vision. And for this style to work, you need to remove every single ward around the Nashor area. One ward will screw your strategy. Misfits, they did it expertly so. They never gave Unicorns a window kind of to fight back.
Yeah, a ton of praise for the Misfits. Fantastic. And you got to look at the Unicorns of Love. I said that honeymoon comparison, but that is now IEM didn't go well. 1-4, 0-2 versus G2. Then again now versus a team that in their minds and of course in the rankings is lower place than G2, and that they should be able to beat a really hard loss. So where does that leave them?
I think right now for the Unicorns, where it leaves them coming into this next game is I strongly feel they can't just pick up a farming jungler and expect KaKAO to sit back on something when there's like an Elise or a Lee Sin. We know that's the play style that he plays. So
well, we asked Xerxe to play Graves and he did though.
Right, we did, but the problem around that is they couldn't play around the lanes and couldn't defend. It's difficult from the draft,
I don't think Xerxe actually did anything wrong. Like when you have a winning lane with Varus Zyra and your AD carry is like, we usually jokingly say trolling, but like when you get hit by Malzahar full combo, 4 Voidlings, now that they have a delay on spawn, you get hit by Jhin W and you die with flash up. And then guess what? Elise and Renekton are going to dive you twice. When you allow that to happen, you can't point the blame at the jungler. That's when the individual laners need to step up.
I agree with that, and I think it's not necessarily just about Xerxe, but playing up against this Misfits feels like a refined week 1 Misfits, where they're killing you in lane, but they're also doing objective control, vision control very well. And I don't think as a team you can afford to sit so far back from the Unicorns and make those types of mistakes.
Well, we will see what happens. Game 2 between Misfits and the Unicorns of Love. We'll be getting into picks and bans right after the break. Don't go anywhere.